Well, today we're finally getting back on the 66 GMC. Today I'm going to be installing some 3-inch drop coil. This thing has been sitting for a while, kind of neglected it, got that dually project and all that good stuff. We're getting back on it now, hopefully get this thing on the road before next year, which is January 5th right now, so pretty good goal. So if you're unfamiliar with this project, this is a 66 GMC short wheelbase, big back window truck. I actually put a square body cross member under it, getting us our 5-lug and disc brakes. Also, we did some sweet patina paint, and if you ask me, it looks pretty good. But today, our hit list is gonna be getting these factory coil springs out and installing some 3-inch drop coils. They are from Classic Performance Parts. I bought these things so long ago I couldn't even remember where they came from. But nonetheless, a lot of places sell these. You can pick them up pretty inexpensively. Just gonna do a 3-inch drop in the front of this truck because we got, I believe they are 3 or so inch drop springs in the rear and then some 1-inch shackles. So it should be about 4 inches in the rear. We're gonna come up front, do about 3 inches. So hopefully that'll get it sitting pretty level. So the game plan on this one is gonna be, we're gonna drop this upper ball joint. That's gonna allow everything to swing out of our way. We're gonna make sure to wanna get a jack underneath this because that spring pressure is definitely gonna whip this thing. So if you have tie rods connected, now would be a good time to remove those. We do not have any steering on this truck currently, so that's something we don't have to worry about. So let's get after it. Here's our 2 springs. Obviously this is our factory. That's our drop. You can see pretty substantial difference in coil springage. So I'm gonna toss this one in right quick on the driver's side, put it all back together, and then hopefully we'll be going to the passenger side. Got her all put back together. I'm not even gonna mess with putting our brake line back on currently because I'm gonna put new rotors on this thing, calipers and everything, and also this soft line, so no sense in even putting that back on currently. So there's our new spring in there. I can already tell you it's noticeably lower whenever we jack it up, but I know on Dad's 72 I had to end up trimming this bump stop. I'm obviously going to get the weight of the truck back down and see where we're at, but all I did on that was just hacked it straight off right there with the Sawzall to where I didn't go all the way down to the metal, because that's the last thing you want to do is have metal on metal slapping. That's not a good sound, but might have to address that. But I'm going to slide over to the other side, knock that out, catch up with you here in a minute. So there it is with the 3-inch drop on it. I think it looks sick right now myself. If you look here, it really leveled out really nice, everything. So I went ahead and put the wheels back on it because I wanted to see what it looked like. Obviously, it looks pretty killer in my opinion. But I've got some suspension or steering parts that I need to put on it. As you've seen, it didn't have anything on it. So I've got new tie rod ends, just everything basically to run the length of everything. Got a new pitman arm, stuff like that, just to put on the front end of this truck. And hopefully I can get it all figured out. Somebody already had like a newer model power steering box kind of rigged up on this thing. So I'm gonna try to put it back on, hopefully make it a little nicer than when it came off, so that we can have power steering. Well, heck, I didn't know you guys are still here. We're gonna be putting these tie rods and all that stuff like I was telling you that I got for this on the truck. Also pulled my gearbox out of the back of my truck, and also the drag link. It was all nice and pretty painted, but you know how things go when they stay in the back of your truck for a little while. They get a little beat and banged up. So I just went to eBay and got all of this. It's just kind of a little kit. Here's a little parts list you guys can see. It actually came with all new ball joints as well, and I didn't remember that. So I'm not gonna do that at the moment because I just don't feel like it. But we do want to get these tie rods on this thing, because that way when we try to move this thing around, it ain't trying to do the old Duramax shuffle, you know what I mean? And yeah, so I need to look up some pictures whenever I disassembled all this, because I want to put it back in the same orientation that it came off. Because if you're anything like me, you forget how stuff goes, and well, yeah. So I'm going to scroll through the old picture book on my phone and hopefully find the picture that I took of this before I disassembled all of it. So first things first, I'm going to make up my new tie rods here, and then we will go from there. I'll have to figure out which one's which, because there is a right hand and a left hand thread on these. So there we go. Alright, I must say that's pretty close. Let me whip this other one out real quick, and then we can start getting into attaching some stuff on the truck. Alrighty, so I just chased all of our threads on our gearbox here. This is just kind of going to be a mock-up gearbox. I would like to purchase another one, and just a brand new one, because this one does have a little play in it. It's nothing too bad. And also our pitman arm down through here, I'm just going to keep this with this currently, because there's no sense of pulling this off. If we're going to get another gearbox, there's no sense of putting that on this old gearbox. So try to get it on the truck now. Yeah, that thing's not lining up really that great. It's got like a bulge in this gearbox, and it's pushing it out pretty good. It's gotta be how they had it though. Alright, so the other night I was having a little issues with this steering box on this truck. What it was doing is, I guess the square body or whatever this is, whenever it comes to the frame, it's got a big jog that goes out, and it won't allow it to hit flush on the frame. So what I've done, I made a couple of these little bushings here out of some brass I had laying around, and what that's doing now is spacing that gearbox out enough to where we can get it in there. So as you can see here, it's kind of loose still, but this little spacer here is gonna snip right up in there and allow us to get in there, because like I was saying, that gearbox has a little bit of a jog in it right there, and it won't let that hit flush on that frame. So everything lines up after that. You can see that's where our steering shaft's going to be coming down straight to that, so everything should be good. The factory location for where they cut that out is gonna be good. So yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. Pretty fun stuff. Alrighty, with our steering gearbox mounted up now, we can kind of start jamming some of this other stuff up, because it should, in theory, just all be ready to slap on here. So hang on and let's go for a little ride through Steering Town. It's already not lining up. What the heck? Oh yeah, much better. Like I said, now we should just be able to jam this thing out. Well, unfortunately, I think I've got the wrong part. I went to hook the drag link and everything up on this thing, and it's not gonna work. It's raining currently, but I did go out and check on the C30, which is a square body, so it kind of showed me what needs to be done. And the holes that you see me drill are not the right ones. I'm kind of just trying to muck all this up, and it's not working out. This is my first square body K-member swap, I guess you could say. So yeah, I just went out back and looked at the K-member that came off of this, and the idler arm assembly is a completely different thing. So it's raining out there currently and it's getting late, so yeah, we'll kind of get back out here tomorrow, hopefully during the daylight, and maybe figure something out. If anything, like I was saying, we can always just mock this thing up and we can replace parts as needed. Just want to kind of get this thing configured to where I know it's going to be able to steer. And maybe it's just as simple as me pulling some measurements on the square body out there, drilling our frame, setting that pitman arm to where we need it, because that's the last thing I want to do is have steering binding or something like that on this truck. So I want to make sure we get that dialed. We'll try her again tomorrow. So as you've seen, we went and pulled the old assembly off of the other cross member, which from the drop down bar we got, or whatever you want to call this, that comes off the frame, you can tell quite a bit of difference in the two. Just the way they're kind of arranged. It's something like this is the difference between like the 60s to like the square body style. So like I was saying, I could drill the frame, but I'm going to try to shoot this on real quick and kind of see what we got going from there. Holy crap. That turned out to be quite a bit more work than I anticipated. As you've seen, I ended up taking the measurements off the square body like we had initially kind of wanted to do. Let me get you down here. Drilled the hole for our mount here, got that all situated. Everything's looking really good. Tie rod angles, even our drag link across here, we got a same gap, everything's level. So in theory, I think all that's gonna work. Like I showed you, I have the C30 in the shop currently, so I was able to just kind of jump over there, pull some measurements, and I got this thing pretty close. I did fine tune it just a little bit, just to make everything where it kind of meshed a little bit better. And I have just by hand went through the range of motion, and it will go lock to lock without any binding or anything like that. So pretty stoked on that. This should not have been this big of a ordeal. So hopefully by seeing me do that and use some of these square body parts on this, maybe it'll help you out. But as far as like retrofitting all of the 60 to 66, or I guess it'd be 63 to 66 parts, it just wasn't going to work out because a lot of the tapers were smaller, like say the tie rod was smaller, and it just wasn't going to work with the drag link. And none of the parts were going to interchange is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that was a fight for no more than what we did. That was about a week's worth of work, research, and doing all kinds of stuff. So that put the video behind quite a bit, but I do have a cool surprise. I'll show you right now. Finally got an air purifier for the shop. Just kidding. I scored some West Coast style mirrors on Facebook Marketplace for the truck, which if you've seen my 64, I'm a fan of these. I just think they look kind of cool. That one's kind of gnarly looking. I've just seen that. Oh well, maybe it'll clean up a little bit, maybe it won't, but nonetheless, I've got two of these West Coast style mirrors, and I want to try to get them mounted up on the 66 GMC. I do have another set of these, so I guess if worse comes to worse, I can change that one out, because that seems like it's not real good in there, which I didn't know that. Just now seeing it for the first time with you guys. So let's see if we can't start putting these things on. Alright, we got the mirrors on, and I'm not gonna lie to you, kind of goofed on the tire size here, but you let me know what you think. I think the front, if we do keep these tires, definitely gonna have to come down some. As you've seen, got the mirrors all mounted up. I think they look pretty sweet, but whip you around here. Tell me what you think about these wheels. A little bit bigger than what I usually go with, but we'll see what you think about them. So they are some 17-inch torque thrust. I'm not hating the back. It's got a pretty good look to it, fills everything out. But as we come up front, got a lot of gap going on right there. So my thoughts are, if we drop that front end down, that 2 inches we were talking about doing with those spindles, that would close our gap up, give us a nice little, you know, rake right there, so we could, I don't know, potentially make that thing look pretty sweet. So we've made quite a bit of progress on the 66 GMC this week. Let me know, do you like the West Coast mirrors? Do you like the wheels? Like I said, I think it would look pretty good if we lowered the front another 2 inches. Drop it down in the comments if you don't care. Let me know your thoughts on that. that's gonna be it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. And if you don't care, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and maybe even a like. See ya on the next one.